So it's not uncommon that I'll have an athlete that starts with me in the last 7 to 10 days. They get back from a ride and they say, dude, I'm starting to feel really good already. Could we be making progress this fast? Is this a placebo effect? And that always causes me to pause and chuckle a little bit. There's something going on there, but it's not placebo. Let me get out of this kit. I'll break it down for you and exactly what it means in a way that can actually help you as well if you're dealing with back pain or sciatica on the bike. Okay, much better. Before we get into it, my name is Robbie Horseman. I help cyclists with back pain, sciatica, and saddle pressure problems reclaim their life on the bike. It's like that Snickers commercial. You're not you when you're hungry. Well, you're also not you when your back hurts on the bike. It messes up more than just your riding. And when you can't ride, there's other areas of life that suffer, whether that's being sharp at work, being present with your family, or just having the fitness, the freedom, and feeling awesome. It's what makes you tick. You're a cyclist. You love to ride. Me too. That's why we're here. So, when we look at the whole placebo effect thing, quick results, almost surprising. Gotta ask, what's really going on here? So, here's the backstory. A lot of cyclists with back pain have been struggling with it for a long time. And if that's you, you can probably resonate with that story. It can be super frustrating. It can be super confusing when you feel like you're doing all the right things, but you're not able to dig out of that hole. Now, here's the problem. A lot of the standard advice comes up short in actually addressing the issues that cause back pain for cyclists. We've seen a lot of changes in bike tech, in bike fit philosophy, in position on the bike, equipment, all of that. But what we haven't really seen is an update to how we do rehab well for cyclists specifically. We're still operating in a little bit of a dinosaur era where it's core strength and stretch your hamstrings, stretch your hip flexors, activate your glutes. The problem is none of that actually gets at the root of the problem. The first question we have to ask is, why is there too much damn stress on your back? And for a cyclist, one of the key things, the key relationship, is that between the hips, the pelvis, and the spine. If we have a back pain problem as a cyclist, and especially when it hurts actively while we're on the bike, we can be certain that we have imbalances and restrictions of how the hips, pelvis, and spine are working together in a way that dumps stress on the back, and it can't handle it. After a while, that's going to come up as pain. And when you stay stuck in that spin cycle, it becomes more and more fuzzy, more and more blurred, to the point where you don't really know what to do anymore. So, back to the whole placebo thing. So when one of my guys says, man, could this be working already? Is this a placebo effect? It happens with such frequency, said almost exactly like that I've got to laugh. And I often say something like this. Well, I mean, if it is a placebo effect, it means it's working. Usually we both share a laugh at that point. That said, when we put the right pieces in place, it's not surprising that you would start to see changes. Like I said, one of the issues is the standard treatments that just get thrown at cyclists who have a back pain problem, sciatica, saddle pressure issues, they're too generic. They don't have a clear rationale as to why we're doing what we're doing. And so before I get to the 3-2-1 method and how you can implement that today to help you in the next 2 weeks, let's take a step back. Where does all this need to start? The 3-2-1 method is built on 2 pillars of assessment. The first pillar is off the bike assessment. We have to get down to the very root of why there is too much stress on the back. So doing that assessment off the bike is always the first step. We have to understand the athlete's mechanics and what's breaking down. And once we've done that, not only can we put a plan in place, but we can put a roadmap in place that matches the goals in a way we can track over time, month to month. That way we know, are we ahead of schedule? Are we on schedule? Or are we behind schedule? None of those are good or bad necessarily, but they do require a different approach. If you're ahead of schedule, the stuff that we move to next is going to be different than if you're behind schedule. If you're on schedule, that's going to change versus if you're ahead or behind. Like I said, none of it's bad. Sometimes we have a combination of all three when it comes to our goals and like what we're trying to change. But being able to quantify that and lay out a clear roadmap with you having a total understanding of why you're doing what you're doing is what makes the difference between success and consistency versus inconsistency and staying stuck. Sometimes failure altogether where you just stop because you don't know what to do. The second pillar is on the bike assessment. This is where we really start to build the bridge. It's a very important bridge from our off the bike work onto the bike. In a traditional approach, that is often what's missing. And it's missing because people are going to a doctor or a chiro, a physical therapist who doesn't fully understand the mechanics of cycling. So they can't actually build that bridge. It's no fault of theirs, but they don't understand the mechanics in a way where we can take the off the bike work, make sure it's the right stuff, yeah? And bridge it onto the bike so that it actually shows up on your rides in a way that's predictable, in a way that you can control, and in a way that makes the process super effective. So when we've done that assessment and we have our roadmap, that's all day 0, day 1 stuff. Now you know where you're trying to go and you can clearly see the path. So this is where the 3-2-1 method comes in. It is my base framework to be able to attack the mechanics that cause back pain, sciatica, saddle pressure problems in a predictable way, customized to each athlete. So let's start from the top. 3, that stands for 3 high quality mobility sessions per week. And the place to start here is the hips, pelvis, spine. We're not talking about muscle tightness here. We're talking about the deep joint mechanics that influence how you move on and off the bike. So when you put these exercises in place in the right way and you do them consistently, you're actually changing your mechanics. Now, there's an important note about priorities that needs to come in right now. We've got to understand what needs to change first. So that's like the front burner of a stove, like it's right in front of us. What might be a little bit less of a priority, but still important in the short term, that goes on the back burner. And like, what's off the stove? What stuff can we push to the side for a sec while we work on things that are going to make the most immediate difference? When you get those priorities right, you feel it because you start to see the results play out before your eyes. If your priorities are misaligned or you're working on stuff that isn't really affecting the problem, then it's confusing because you're not really seeing the changes you need to see and you're not really sure if the approach is actually working. So we've got those priorities lined out and we've got 3 high quality mobility sessions per week. Now here's the thing. Those should be pretty quick. Like we're talking about a 20, 25 minute workout here that you can get to predictably and consistently. That's the big thing. It doesn't matter whether you do it before you ride, after you ride, or at some other time entirely. The whole thing is that we build that consistent foundation. We get good roots in the ground and we know that it's something that we can build a strong structure on top of. So mobility is number 3. 2 stands for 2 mechanics-focused strength sessions per week. Now, this is where the approach changes a little bit from a standard performance-based strength program. That's one thing. And for the right cyclist at the right time, it's incredibly valuable for performance. But when we're dealing with imbalances, restrictions, back pain, sciatica, or saddle pressure problems, we have to be mindful of the mechanics that are driving that, the mechanics that are pushing too much stress to the back, mechanics that are pushing too much stress to the pelvis. And so we've got our mobility work over here for number 3, those mechanics-focused strength workouts. You will get stronger, but the main thing is that we're leveraging the right movements so that the mobility work that you're doing is actually going to stick. That's where strength comes in from a strong rehab perspective. We do the mobility work. We put the strength in there. Not only do you start to get stronger, but your mechanics become more sound and actually stay under load. So when you get on the bike, you don't just fall apart and revert back to the old pattern. Number 1, that stands for 1 integration ride per week. Here's what an integration ride is. It's consciously paying attention to your position with simple cues to open the hips and create a strong relationship between the hips, pelvis, and the spine. So a base framework for doing an integration ride would be a 90-minute zone 2 ride, where for every 2 minutes out of 10, you're doing a slight posterior tilt to open the hips You're making sure the back is in a strong, rounded position, and you're paying attention to how smooth your pedal stroke is. Do that for 2 minutes. For the next 8, you move that to the back of your brain and you just ride. When you come back around to that 10-minute mark, you repeat it again. And you're looking for how that changes in terms of how it feels over the course of a ride. And we put these 3 pieces together: high quality mobility, mechanics focused strength, and the integration ride. That is where we build a clean bridge from the off the bike work, the right stuff that you need to actually make changes to take stress off your back, and we bring it to where it matters, riding the bike, so that you feel good on your rides, you feel good after your rides, and you're not wrecked for the rest of the day. So let me make this practically useful for you. I'll give you the entire framework. There's a PDF. There's just a link in the description here. You can click that. It's going to be a page where it tells you exactly what to do. I'll give you the overview in this video, more details in the PDF. For the mobility work, the base framework you're going to use is 7 exercises repeated for 3 rounds. Now in that document, I'll tell you which types of exercises you need, and I'll even give you a sample 7 that you can use. You're going to go through 3 rounds of that at normal life pace, so just normal movement, and you're going to pay attention to what you're feeling. You're looking for where you feel restricted. You're looking for what feels a little bit janky. You're looking for what feels great. That goes into your memory bank, and that's going to help you as you progress through the plan. On the mechanics focused strength stuff, very, very simple framework to start with. We're going to do 4 supersets of 2. That means you're going to alternate back and forth between 2 exercises for 3 rounds each, and you're going to do 4 blocks of that. So you'll start with some basic activation work to get the system primed. Remember, we're focused on the mechanics here, not the muscles. We want to make sure that your hips, pelvis, and spine are moving well. We'll move into work that starts to combine the mechanics of the hips, pelvis, and spine with actual strength principles. So this will feel like core strength, but it's not just basic core strength. We need to make sure we're stabilizing well. We need to make sure that our joint position is good. When we do that, and I'll show you that on these exercises, you'll feel locked in when it comes time for your main lifts. So those main lifts are going to be the last 2 supersets. And here's how we're going to draw it up. We're going to have a single leg pull and a double leg push, with a double arm pull and a single arm push. Now for our second workout, if you want 2 different ones, a strength A and B, if you will, you're going to flip that. So now it's going to be a single leg push with a double arm pull and a double leg pull with a single arm push. Again, in that document, I'm going to give you real life examples for you to actually be able to use. What you're looking for out of the strength workout to start with is a 50 to 60% fatigue target on your main lifts, and it should not feel overly strenuous. So if you were to rate that workout on a 0 to 10 scale in terms of difficulty, it should fall at a 6 or even below. We are not trying to fry the system here, because if our mechanics are messed up and we pile on too much intensity, so we make it too hard, all we're doing is we're going to lock in those bad mechanics. Now, I already told you what that integration ride looks like. Here are the important parts, right? I'm going to recommend that you start with 2 minutes out of every 10 on a zone 2 ride of 1 to 2 hours, 90 minutes being the sweet spot. So for that 2 minutes, you're going to focus on a slight tilt backward at the pelvis. That's going to round your back. Slight bend in the elbows. Your hips are going to be open. And that's what you're looking to feel. Now the question is, how long can we hold this? If we can hold it through the whole 2 minutes, that's a great starting point. But if we start to fall apart, sink into old patterns, say at a minute or so, okay, we know we need to have a little higher focus on that integration ride. It's not a bad thing. That's just where you're at, and you need to meet yourself where you're at. So this is how I put it together for my athletes. This is where we start. 3, 2, 1. In the case of an acute problem, like let's say you are real fired up, you're not riding that much, you're going to delay adding the integration ride. You bring it in after about a month once you're feeling better. So at that point, you're just doing 3, 2. But as soon as possible, once you're riding a pretty normal volume, maybe 75% of what you want to be riding, you want to add that integration ride in. And if you follow this consistently, even if you just use the base exercise that I've given you, you will start to see changes. within the 4 to 6 week mark. It might be way sooner. I mean, it might be 5 to 10 days you start to notice a massive difference. That said, I'm comfortable saying 4 to 6 weeks, you're going to start to notice a difference, so long as you're laying that consistent foundation and you're doing the work and you're engaged with it. Like, intention matters here. We're not just going through the motions here. We want to start to get a better understanding of how our body feels. Now, the one thing I can't give you is the assessment, because ultimately that is my expertise. That's where my eyes on the issue help to triangulate exactly what needs to change. That said, I'm confident that the base things that I'm going to give you are easy enough that no matter what you have going on, you will see benefit from them. If you're looking for a one-on-one approach and you want my expert help with this, I've got a link to my calendar in the description as well. Click that, pick a time. There's just a few questions on there. It's just a 30 to 45 minute discussion to see if it even makes sense to talk about a plan. If it does, we'll break it down. I'll show you exactly how it's going to work for you. If not, I'm going to shoot straight with you. I'm going to point you in the right direction. The one thing I want you to know, if you're dealing with persistent back pain, sciatica, or there's some issues with saddle pressure, you can get through this. It does require that you put together the right pieces, and it requires that you do it consistently for long enough that it's actually going to have an impact. So it takes some work. That said, you can dig out of this. You will ride pain-free again. That I can promise you. I'll see you next time.